Welcome to the Foundry by Forge College. I am so excited you're here. Let's get right into our explainer for today, which I like to call the detective's first case. So, in our previous lesson, the overview on security tools and static analysis, we talked about how scanners hunt for common vulnerabilities without actually executing any code. We learned they trade precision for really broad coverage. But, theory only gets us so far. Today, we're taking those abstract concepts and turning them into real hands-on skills. We're going to run the slither tool, interpret what it spits out, and map those findings right back to the contract code. Let's dive in and get our hands dirty. All right, here's our roadmap for the investigation. We're going to hit 4 stops: preparing your workspace, running the scan, decoding the findings, and finally, the human verdict. So let's kick things off with Section 1, preparing your local workspace. Okay, I know exactly what you might be thinking. Setup? Really? I just want to hack smart contracts. But look, if you've ever wrestled with development environments, you know that tooling friction is just part of the game. It's totally normal. Think of this step like carefully assembling your magnifying glass before you go looking for fingerprints. If your lens is smudged, well, your investigation is kind of doomed from the start, right? So let's treat this like a quick assembly manual. Step 1, you're going to install Slither using Python 3. Just a simple pip3 install slither-analyzer. Next, create a nice clean directory, maybe call it Slither Practice, just so we aren't mixing up our files. And finally, drop in our target file, VulnerableToken.sol. Oh, and make absolutely sure you've got a compatible Solidity compiler ready to go, because Slither needs it to parse your code properly. And that brings us to the crime scene itself. VulnerableToken.sol is this compact little sample contract we've intentionally packed with some pretty risky patterns. We literally left out access controls on purpose and threw in some storage access patterns that are absolutely known to set off alarms. We want Slither to catch these things so we can see exactly what an automated warning looks like in the wild. It's basically the perfect dummy target. Moving right along to Section 2, running the Slither scare. Okay, so our environment is all set up, our vulnerable contract is sitting right there waiting, and now it's time to let the tool loose. Think of this as your tactical cheat sheet. These are the 3 fundamental commands you're going to need. Running just slither dot does this broad sweep of your current directory and lists out all the findings. But sometimes, you need a different lens. Running slither-print call graph doesn't just look for errors, it actually maps out how all your functions interact with each other. It's super cool. And finally, if you want to export all that structured data for offline analysis, you just tack on the -JSON flag to package those findings up neatly into a file. Now, before we stare at the output, we really need to define a crucial term here: detector. A detector is simply an automated check that flags a specific class of vulnerability. I want you to think of a detector kind of like a medical X-ray. When you go to the hospital and get an X-ray, the machine might highlight an anomaly, right? But the machine isn't diagnosing you with a specific disease. It's really just pointing to a shadow and saying, "Hey doc, look here. This matches a pattern I was programmed to find." That is exactly what a Slither detector does to your smart contract. Which brings us perfectly to Section 3, decoding Slither's findings. So you hit enter on your terminal, the tool does its thing, and suddenly you are just flooded with colored console lines, weird identifiers, and file references. Honestly, it can feel like you're reading the Matrix. But our job right now is to parse through all that information and ask the absolute most crucial question. The tool found an error, but is it actually dangerous? This right here is the fundamental difference between an automated scanner and a real living, breathing human security auditor. A scanner has zero context. It has no idea what your decentralized app is actually supposed to do. It just knows its rules. Let's look at a piece of raw terminal output. It says, info missing validation, public function without access restrictions, mint. Now, if you're a beginner developer, seeing this pop up might induce instant panic. It sounds terrifying, but honestly, sometimes Slither is basically an overzealous spell checker. It flags a word because it doesn't recognize it, but in the context of your specific sentence or, your contract's architecture, it might be entirely intentional. So we have to take that line number, go back to our source code, and investigate for ourselves. And this is exactly why we use that second command from our cheat sheet earlier to generate a call graph. A call graph is an informational map. It visually shows you if a function can actually be reached by an external attacker. Let's say Slither flags a missing access control on a function. Well, if the call graph proves that this function is only ever called internally by a highly secure parent function, then your risk profile drops dramatically. Like I said, context is everything. This brilliantly illustrates the difference between an actionable finding and a false positive. Let's go back to our X-ray analogy for a second. An actionable finding is a true exploit path. You look at the code, you see the missing access control, and you realize, no way, literally anyone can call this and steal the funds. That is a broken bone. It needs immediate fixing. A false positive, on the other hand, is that weird shadow on the X-ray. It triggered the detector, sure, but when the human doctor investigates, they realize it's just the intended design of the protocol. So, what does a good human judgment actually look like? Well, when you export your JSON findings and start annotating your code snippets, you don't just write broken. You state your reasoning explicitly. Something like this: actionable. The drain function transfers the contract balance to an arbitrary recipient and lacks owner/protection. Boom. That proves you didn't just casually read the warning. You successfully mapped that detector to a realistic exploit chain that would lead to a loss of ether. And that leads us to our final stop, Section 4, the final human verdict. Look, the automated reasoning provided by Slither is an absolutely incredible starting point, but it's only half the battle. The tool is your assistant, but you are the lead detective closing the case. Let's distill our key takeaways from today's hands-on session. First, remember that Slither outputs both warnings and informational traces. You really need both to get the full picture. Second, automated reasoning absolutely requires human verification. You have to connect that detector to a real exploit path. And third, if you get stuck on some weird compiler version mismatch or a missing import, please don't sweat it. Tooling friction is completely normal. Resolving environment issues is basically a rite of passage for every Web3 developer. Now that you've mastered the basics of Slither, keep those annotated code snippets handy. This explainer fits right into our broader Security Tools and Analysis Techniques module, which is part of the Introduction to Smart Contract Security course, all rolling up into our main Smart Contract Security track. Up next, we'll be using another awesome tool called Mythrol to analyze this exact same contract, comparing where the two tools agree and where their false positive profiles differ. I want to leave you with one final question to ponder. As you look at your own smart contracts, can you distinguish the real threats from the noise? The tools will find the patterns, but only you can find the truth. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer brought to you by Forge College. To continue your Web3 journey and dive into more amazing resources, be sure to visit forge.college. I will see you in the next one.